So in today's video, I'll discuss the problem about how to create your PhD thesis defense and how to conduct your PhD thesis defense. Now at this point, I'll presume that you have completed your PhD thesis writing. Maybe this has taken you 3 years to 5 years or more, and now your supervisor has told you to create your PhD thesis defense, and then you have scheduled a date for this particular examination. Now typically a PhD thesis may range from 100 to 200 pages, and this contains several chapters from the introduction to the conclusion and all the results and methods chapters being sandwiched in between. Now what you need to do is to compress this particular document into a set of slides to make a presentation. And the best possible scenario is to make about 30 to 45 slides, and this should take you something from 45 minutes to 50 minutes or more to complete. So if you go much beyond that, then you start losing the audience, and there is a negative consequences of lengthening your talk much beyond 45 minutes. So I would say that you should target about 45 minutes for a typical PhD defense. Now before we go into the details about the PhD defense, let me discuss about the importance of this talk. Now the PhD defense talk is very important because it condenses several years of your work into one presentation. So essentially you are extracting all these features from this whole data you have given in the thesis, and you are making a presentation for this particular topic. This presentation is also the seed which will create more presentations which you may need for your job talks which you give at universities or teaching institutions, and also at various research centers where you need to look for jobs. So again, that is something to keep in mind. Now let's start with the presentation. So your first slide will be the title slide, and your name will go beneath this title, and then beneath this you will put the name of your university or institution, and in some cases you may put your supervisor's name here also. Now when you go to the next slide, here I like to give a slide which presents the outline of the presentation, and this slide is useful for the people to know as to what are the different themes which you are going to make in your presentations. And here you may put the following things: motivation, literature survey, statement of the problem, methods or formulation section, results, conclusions, and future work. Now the motivation slide should be one page or one slide, and here you essentially have to motivate your topic at a very broad level. So if you are solving a problem of vibration in structures, then this slide will probably bring out the importance of the vibration problem from a practical point of view and also from the scholarly point of view, the various broad methods which have been used to solve this problem, and why this problem is important, and that is why you are planning to tackle this problem. So this is very important because this tells the people that the topic you are pursuing is important, and this slide should indicate at a very higher level why this problem is important. So if somebody who is not familiar with your particular field is there in this room, he or she should be able to follow why your topic is important. Now once you have motivated this particular topic, you start with your literature survey, and this may be 3 to 5 slides, and sometimes this is called literature survey, literature review, sometimes people call it the state of the art. So here you give a chronological presentation of the various papers which you have discussed in your thesis, but instead of giving the 100 or 150 references which you may have included in your thesis, you have time only to present a few references. So you may discuss 10 to 20 references here, and you may discuss the key papers in the field. So if you have a review paper here, it is very useful, and If there are some other seminal papers in the field, you can discuss these papers here. Now, as you write each sentence about the work, at the end of the sentence, you can add the name of the reference. For example, Smith and Chen. Then put a comma, write the journal name. Say if it's Journal of Fluid Mechanics, you can write JFM. Then you put one more comma and write the year, so 2007. So you can write all your papers out like this. Do not try to write it in number form like 1, 2, 3 like you have done in your thesis, because at this point you don't have access to a reference section. And I know some people who do this and they go to the end of the presentation and say here are the references. But when people were at this point, they did not exactly know what these numbers mean, so that's not a good idea. Now, once again, I said this should be chronological. So chronology has the advantage of letting people know how the field has come up, and you should go from some of the seminal work to the last 20 years or 10 years in the field, and it should end with the current work in the field. So again, the years being put on the names and the papers will become useful to basically outline this fact. Now, once you have completed your literature survey slides, you go to the statement of the problem, and this should be one slide. And here you essentially extract all the concepts you have outlined in the literature survey and you present the statement of your research problem. So this could be the fact that all this literature survey led you to believe that piezo materials with smart structures are the best way to bring down vibration, and you have zoomed on to robust control as the best strategy to achieve this problem. And therefore your thesis is going to look at this method and this new material to bring down the vibration problem. So again, you should communicate in one slide what is the statement of the problem. Once you have done that, you go into the methods or formulation section, and this can range from 5 to 10 slides. And here you outline the various numerical, computational, mathematical methods you have used to develop this particular problem, or to develop the methods required to solve this particular problem. And if you have done any experiments, then here you can outline the experimental setup and the pictures for the experimental setup and so on. Then you come to the results section, and this can be 10 to 20 slides. And here you present the various graphs and tables to show some of the critical results. So now again, in your thesis, you have a huge amount of space to discuss your methods, your results, and so on. In fact, you may have several chapters discussing results. But here you want to show the key results of your thesis. So if you have done some enormous parametric studies in your thesis, you need not bring all those results out in this particular point. You can bring some sample results here and show what are the key things which you have obtained in your thesis. And here again, remember that you should give more of a visual picturization. You should try to give more of graphs, diagrams, and remember that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Below each figure or picture, you can add a sentence which describes the basic concept of each figure. And also I would suggest that if you have made your figures in 12-point font in the thesis, do not just copy and paste them right here. You can increase the font size before you paste them in this particular PowerPoint presentation. And one more thing you can do is that if you have used dotted lines and so on for the various graphs, you can convert them to thicker solid lines and use different color schemes to present things in your presentation, because that comes out more easy to read. Now, once you have culminated with the results section, you can go to the conclusion section, and your result should straight away feed into the conclusion. So the conclusion should be 1 to 3 slides, and here you bring out all the topics which are the key conclusions of your thesis. And this is a very important section, because this is where the people make a judgment as to what is the level of your thesis. And it should also follow that the conclusions come out of the result section. So there should be a direct link from your result section to the conclusion section. Following this, you can have a slide on future work. And this is the slide where you outline what are the future work you plan to do in the thesis. And this slide is especially useful for the students who are sitting in the room watching this presentation, and also some of the different professors who may want to take some concepts from here and use it for their further research. So at this point, they all know that you are the top expert in this particular narrow domain where the thesis has been written, and so your feedback about the aspects of future work become very important. So again, I would say give some time to thinking about this future work section, because this is one of your major contributions in terms of the thesis. Now I'll give you some basic concepts about presentation in general. One is that you should try to talk slowly, and this also facilitates the use of less slides and less material in your presentation. So again, some people get nervous and try to talk very fast, and the result is that people who are watching the presentation cannot digest all the material which is being presented to them, and so these people soon lose the people who are watching the presentation. Now the second aspect is that more is not better. So do not exceed 45 slides, because the more slides you will have, the more the penchant will be to talk faster, and you will actually start to trouble or bore audience after some time. So again, you may find that people have started leaving your room, leaving your presentation room, they are going to the restroom and so on. And again, these people may never come back to your presentation. So if your presentation is too long, you may lose the crowd. Once again, I mentioned something about using diagrams. Use diagrams wherever possible. And this is not just graphs. This is the use of diagrams, which you will often see in corporate presentations. They present a lot of flow charts and try to make pictures to make it easy to understand. So again, diagrams help people understand various different concepts. Use different colors in your diagrams and figures. So again, here you can use some help from people who are well versed with the visual domain. Don't use chapter titles to create your presentation. So again, I have seen some presentations where people have simply taken the various chapter titles, made 10-15 slides for each chapter title, and made a huge presentation like that. And it turns out these kind of presentations become extremely boring, and the crowd gets quite perturbed by these kind of presentation, because you may have done a huge amount of parametric studies, but then when you present these parametric studies to people who are totally new to the field or are tangential to the field, it's largely lost on them. So again, I would say do not embark on huge parametric study and chapter based presentation title, because they tend to be very boring. Finally, just to give a similar example, I would say you can consider your presentation to be like a 7-course meal or a proper meal which is set out in many restaurants. So you can think of it starting out with some starter dishes like soups and something like that, your methods and results being the main course, and then at the end you have some desserts in the form of your conclusion and future work. So again, remember that you don't want to do too much in any of these particular sections. So you do not want to satiate the desires of the crowd here by giving them too much information either in the literature survey or in the method section, and then going late to the further section. So again, this limits the whole presentation to about 45 minutes or so. That is the best timeline in which you can finish this talk, and this will also ensure that the different professors who are there have retained their desire to watch your talk. Because when people come to your presentation, they basically want to learn a lot of things from your presentation, because you have put in 5 years of work on this area and you are the top expert in the field at the given time. And therefore your literature survey, your problem statement are all very useful for the people to figure out what you have done. And where the people often lose the crowd is they embark on a huge results section, or they partition their presentation in terms of their chapter names and so on. And this is something you don't want to do, because you don't want to lose the committee of professors. And if you continue for a very long time, they will start getting bugged with your presentation, and there may be negative ramifications for that kind of behavior. So again, these were some concepts I had today about how to defend your PhD thesis. And again, I would also suggest that you practice this a few times and make sure your supervisor knows all about your PhD thesis. So you do not want to create a bad situation, which I have seen in some cases, where the supervisor and the student start to have a discussion during the PhD thesis on some particular topic. So this is certainly not a good thing and you do not want this to come out. So again, resolve all issues with your PhD supervisor and even your committee members regarding your thesis as far as possible, so that your thesis defense goes very smoothly. So I hope you benefited from this video, and if so, please stay tuned to my channel. Thank you very much.